I get asked all the time about how important visualization techniques are for manifesting your goals, especially from people that say, I'm just not good at visualizing. But here's the thing, even if you are good at it, you just might be wasting your time. In this video, I'm going to go over in detail why visualization techniques for manifestation are not necessary. And I'll show you how to get into a state of just pure knowingness, where you'll see that's the key to getting your goals. Check this out. Welcome to the Power of Quiet, the simple way to self-realization. So if you want total control over your thoughts and more happiness and abundance in your life, then you come to the right place. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. You're going to love what we show you, because it's not just fancy ideas. What we show you is provable, meaning you get to demonstrate it for yourself. And if you're a regular here, you love the work that we do, and you get great gains from practicing what we do here, then let us know. Share your gains in the comments below. Share your experiences with the releasing or any questions that you have. I'll do my best to jump in and answer whatever I can. Now, today, I want to go over a topic that comes up a lot in releasing, especially because a lot of the work that we do involves goals, setting goals and releasing to achieve these goals. And so this question actually came up the other day. It popped up on a message in WhatsApp. Hey, Kris, just wondering if you do visualization to help achieve goals, or is releasing enough? Now, when I saw that, I jumped on with a very direct and quick answer. No, I don't do visualization at all. I don't mess with that. And as I was typing it in, I realized that that message, the date on it, it didn't come from last night. It was from back in 2022. So I have no idea why it popped up like that, but it reminded me that this topic comes up a lot, so here we are. Let's address this. See, the idea that you have to visualize, it creates a lot of confusion for us because, first of all, this is the primary idea for all those people that practice the law of attraction out there. Right? They're all about visualization techniques, vision boards, or repeating to yourself 30 times in the morning, 60 times in the evening, your goal, so you can kind of visualize it, see yourself in it, make it real. And it could even be confusing because we hear Lester himself describe how he manifested one of his goals, a goal that he set to get a very specific and special limited edition Cadillac that was a specific color, body, and all of that stuff by releasing only. And when he described getting that car, he said he could see himself in it. He could see it, feel it, smell it even. Right? He put himself in the car, and it was real to him. And so a lot of people, they hear Lester say that, and they say, well, I guess I got to visualize. But they're ignoring every other time that Lester described manifesting something else, where he didn't even bring that up at all. For example, when he talked about traveling from New York to Los Angeles with no money in his pocket, he didn't describe, okay, I'm going to walk out my house and I'm going to visualize myself running into an old friend that owes me money. And they go, oh, Lester, here's the money I owe you. He didn't say that. He said that he left that door knowing that he was going to Los Angeles. Just that, just knowing. And to him, it wasn't even a test, because a test would imply doubt. And along that lines, even having to sit there and visualize, force a visualization, that would imply doubt. Why would you have to do that if you already knew it was happening? Why would you have to visualize it? right? And every other time that Lester talked about manifesting something, like when he was on a short business trip and he had to run into a library and make some copies of a book, and the copy machine there was broken. It had a note on it saying, okay, out of order. And Lester decided in that moment, I'm going to get a copy from this anyway. I'm going to have it my way. And so he put the money into the copier with just the simple decision, it's perfect. It's going to operate perfectly. Now, he didn't describe that he was visualizing the toner coming out of the cartridge correctly and, making a perfect copy. He just said, it's perfect. Put the money in, and he got the copy that he needed. And once he had what he needed, he said, let me try this again. He put another coin into the machine, and the whole page came out black. And one of the employees there walked by and said, didn't you read the sign? It says it's broken. But when Lester needed the copy that he wanted, he just decided, I'm going to have it, right? So is visualization necessary? Now, this question comes up a lot, and it especially comes up from people that say, I'm not good at visualizing. Does that mean I'm screwed, that I'm not going to get my goals if I can't even visualize it? And again, no, it's not necessary. And in fact, even if you are a good visualizer, maybe you're really good with your vision boards and seeing something and putting yourself into something, you might just be wasting your time doing that. All right, so we're going to get into more of a direct understanding of how we can manifest our goals and how our mind really works in its creative nature. Now, on that note, I want to go over one of the major premises that we operate from in this work here, and that is that the mind is a creative instrument, and the mind deals only in pictures. So, as an example of that the mind deals only in pictures, if I say to you, don't fall down, what do you get a picture of? Falling down. Even though I said don't, right? The mind just glossed right over the word don't and went straight to the picture of falling down. So, being that as it is, right? Our mind deals in pictures, and every time that we're communicating an idea to somebody, like this is what we use language for. I have a picture in my mind of an idea, and I try to express that picture, put words to it, so I could use those words so you on the receiving end can take those words and kind of formulate your own picture and get this sort of picture or idea that I'm holding in mind. And that's how we communicate using language. Now, like I said, some of us can be very clear with our pictures, but most of our pictures, even for those of us that are clear with them, a lot of our pictures, we could look at them, we see that they're very, very abstract. Yet, they still have a lot of meaning to us. And I'll give you an example of this. If I was to say, okay, picture an egotistic person. Just picture what they look like, not what their behavior or their actions or what they say. Just what do they look like? Picture an egotistic person. Now, there are some people that could probably come up with a very specific, detailed description that when they tell you, you can get that picture and go, oh yeah, I can see that. But I think for a lot of us, we go, well, picture an egotistic person. I don't know. I mean, there's different ways that they could be egotistic, right? Pick one, right? They could be like this, or they could look like that. I don't know. But even if we're not clear, like we can't come up with a clear picture, like we could tell it to a sketch artist and have them draw it out exactly. Most of us, we're in the position where, like, if I was in a room and I saw an egotistic person across the room, even though I never met them, I could just tell. We're like, I know it when I see it. I just know it, right? So it's not a clear picture, but it's something that we know, right? That's It's a deeper picture, but it still has meaning to us. Now, I'm going to give you another example. Here in the Netherlands, there's a word that they use here that has no equivalent word in English or any other language, as far as I know. But it's a very special word here in Dutch. And that word is gezellig. And if you're to ask a Dutch person, right, what does gezellig mean? They typically give you a very long explanation because it's something it's very specific, very meaningful, but it's very complex and hard to describe. Right? They might say something like, well, it's like when you invite over a group of friends for dinner and you cook for them and you have the meal, and now you all are sitting around after the meal just full and still tasting the deliciousness, and you're sipping the last of your wine and you're having a very heartfelt conversation, and it's nice and cozy inside and it's a little chilly outside, but you're with good friends enjoying the moment. That is gezellig, right? It takes a lot to describe it. And like I said, there's no other word for that. Yet, for any Dutch person or any other expat who's living here that kind of understands what it means, it's hard to put words to it, but when you're in the situation, you're in that moment, you know it. And you just say, this is gezellig, right? You just know it. So I think we can all experience this. And we all know that even if we can't visualize, be really detailed, we all still operate with pictures and they still mean something to us. So why knock ourselves out trying to be a perfect visualizer? Now, how do you manifest if you're not a good visualizer, right? If you're working with abstract images, how does that play out with your releasing your goals? Well, I'm going to give you an example from my own experience here. Now, when I go to the gym, when I go to work out, I don't take headphones with me. I don't watch Netflix or do anything to distract myself, right? I don't have to listen to music or anything. I could just be at the gym doing whatever exercise I'm doing and just being in the moment. Even if it's something as monotonous as walking on a treadmill for an hour straight. I can just sit there, walk on the treadmill. I don't need to watch anything or listen to anything or even think about anything. I can just sit there and just walk and walk and walk. Now, several weeks ago, I was up on a front pair of treadmills that open up to a big wide set of windows. This is the area that I prefer to walk on the treadmill because I have a really nice view out in front of me, so I can just look at that as I'm walking. And I'm on one of those two treadmills, and next to me, a guy gets on the other treadmill that's also facing out this window. And it's like 3 feet away, like right next to me. And as I'm just there on the treadmill, this guy gets on, and then he gets on the phone. And he starts having a conversation that just goes on and on and on. I think he talked for about 45 minutes. And since I'm not with headphones or distracting myself in any way, I'm just right next to him, basically having to listen to his conversation. And at first, I start feeling some resistance to it, like it's bothering me. And I'm thinking, well, should I get off of the machine and say something to him? And I decide, well, that's not really worth it. I'm just going to let go. I'm going to let go of being bothered by this, let go of my resistance, because I could feel that coming up. And I'm just going to deal with it myself. Not a big deal. So I just released on it, and I was okay. And after a couple minutes of releasing, he just continued talking, but it didn't bother me anymore. Now, a couple of other times when I've been on the treadmill the same guy has come up and got onto the next one next to me. And he never got onto the phone again. But these other times when he was next to me, he was like constantly agitated with his phone. Like he was picking it up every 30 seconds to search for something. Or he switched over to his messenger and was messaging something. And he'd set his phone down. And then 20 seconds later, he'd pick it back up and he'd start playing some music, set his phone down. 10 seconds later, picked it up, changed the song, put his phone down. And that went on for like an hour. And of course, I'm right next to him and I have all this commotion going on next to me. And this time, I'm not anywhere near as annoyed as what I had to release on before. I released on it. It didn't bother me. But I did notice I was kind of judging him. I brought this up in one of the other recent videos. See, there's this spiritual trap, whether you're into meditation or even releasing. You can get to this place where you're like, oh, I'm better than everybody else. And don't disturb my peaceful energy. But I saw myself just very subtly judging him, thinking, oh, I'm better than him. I don't need to be so attached to my phone and hooked to it like that. And I saw that in myself. It's like, well, what do I need that for? That's my own ego. So I released on that. And because of the releasing, because I chose to release on it, I really had no bad feelings about the guy. In fact, I really admired him because I saw him showing up a lot as like, this guy's dedicated. He's coming to the gym all the time. So who am I to criticize how he shows up? He's doing it, right? Good for him. Now, last night, I went to the gym and I'm walking up and I see those two treadmills. One of them's open. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get on that. But on the other one already was the guy. And I looked at him when I was getting on the other treadmill. And I saw that his phone was down, totally turned off. He didn't have any ear pods on. And he was just walking peacefully in the moment. He wasn't distracting himself or doing anything. He was just walking, just in pure presence. And I said, oh, that's interesting. That's nice. And so I get onto the treadmill next to him. And I started up. And I notice I'm starting off kind of stiff. And I'm kind of jerking around and I'm having, my balance is off. Like, if I was to close my eyes, in 2 seconds, I would just walk right off the side of the machine. I just had no orientation or just sense of, walking right. And then a little judgment came in on me. Like, oh, here, this guy's walking so nicely. I better walk as nicely as him. Look at me. I'm lurching all over the place. Now I'm the one who's, all chaotic over here. And when I had that thought, I thought, well, I started trying to control how I was walking for a moment, right? Trying to force myself to walk straighter. But that only made things worse. And then, real quickly after that, I thought, what am I wrestling with this for? What's the big deal? And I just had a simple thought. Just let go and walk right. That's it. I'm not going to fight with this and try to force myself to walk right. I'm just going to simply tell myself in a very clear, pure, focused way, just walk right. Now, I didn't have to have a visual of, an proper anatomic walking motion or start visualizing my biomechanics working right. But to me, to just walk right had a very clear meaning, even though I couldn't put words or a visual to it. And it was like in an instant when I decided or kind of told my body, just walk right. Just in an instant, my whole body just relaxed. settled down, got centered, and I'm just walking with ease. Just like that. And like I said, no visualization was necessary, because to me, there's a very deeper meaning to just walk right. And that's all it took. So, how do you get there? How do you get the clarity? Now, we're going to do a little exercise so you can experience this space of clarity, this space of pure knowingness, where there's no thinking or visualizing that's necessary. It's more direct than that. Like I said, it's a simple state of knowingness. And no matter how noisy your mind is, or how big you think your ego is, or how limited you are, you can't get your goals, you can drop into this place of knowingness very quickly and easily. Right? So we'll check that out in a moment. But the point is, what do you really need to do? What's the key here? Like, what's a simple thing you could focus on and know you're going in the right direction, where you can actually demonstrate the manifestation and have your goal? The simple key is to quiet your mind. And that's what we're going to experience in a moment. Is when you get quiet, you get that clarity. You get to that place where you're just like, I know it when I see it. And this is the same point that all the masters are pointing us or directing us towards. Quiet your mind, and you'll have everything. All right? So that's what we need to do. And if that's the key, if that's the goal, to quiet the mind, just notice what we're doing when we're trying to visualize something. Like if you're trying to use Lester's method to create goals, and you think you need to visualize, notice what you're doing. Every time you're visualizing, you're adding noise to your mind. And here's a problem, right? A big problem with visualizing that gets people stuck. And that is, when people are into visualizing, right, that aspect or that process of visualizing, it's very addictive. And people, they like it because it stirs up their lust. Because, I mean, you just sit down and you go, oh, just imagine having it. Oh, yes, I could taste it. Oh, it's almost mine. Right? You get hooked into lust. And lust is a home of wanting. And one of the things that we prove to ourselves in doing this work is wanting is the opposite of having. Right? You really set yourself up for failure when you really get into wanting and you're coming from lust. And one way to see this is that, you know, when you're visualizing and you just have these kind of lustful feelings towards getting this thing, that it's like a dopamine hit. That's why I said it's a lot of us, we get addicted to this. But just like when you get a dopamine hit from getting onto social media, it's nothing that's tangible. It's nothing that benefits your life in any way. You just get a sense of satisfaction, this dopamine hit, just by going on and seeing if anybody liked your post, or going and scrolling through your news feed looking for something entertaining. But what does it all amount to? Nothing. Zero. And the same thing when we get into lust over visualizing having our goals, right? We're getting ourselves a little bit of a dopamine hit, and we get addicted to it. And at the end of it all, we never really get our goals. We're just messing with ourselves. So, the only way forward, like I said, is to quiet that mind. And when you get quiet, you get clear. You get to a place where you don't need to think. You just know. And you know that you know. All right, so how do you do that? What's that like? Well, let me take you through a little exercise to show you how to get some clarity. Think about a goal that you have right now. Or maybe it's not a goal that you actually have, like you're actively working on, but maybe it's just a goal like, that'd be nice if I had that, right? Think about something that you want in your life. If you could have it, boy, that would be wonderful. All right, you have something in mind? Now, take a look to see if you've been trying to figure out, well, how is it ever going to be possible? How am I ever going to get that? What do I need to do in order to get that goal or to attain that thing? All right, see if you've been trying to figure it out, looking for an answer. Now ask your mind if it has an answer. Ask it if it knows. And it doesn't know, does it? Now the way that your mind talks to you is that it says, hey, anytime you don't know, just ask me. I'll help you find an answer. Right? Well, if you don't know, or if the answer isn't here, then we're going to go search for it. Right? We're going to go ask this expert. We're going to go read that book. We're going to go check that thing out. Go look over here, over there. And so that's the way the mind talks to you. It says, hey, I'm your friend. Anytime you don't know what to do, I'm here to help you. Right? I'm your analytical friend that knows all about the world and can help you navigate through the world and keep yourself surviving. You could trust in me. So that mind, you ask, okay, well, how do I get this goal? And it sends you all over the place. All right, look over here, look over there. Talk to that person, read that book. And you do all this stuff. You look all over the place and you still don't find the answer. And what does that mind, what does that friend of yours then tell you when you still don't have that goal? It says, hey, you know what I recommend? Beat yourself up. Right? Get down on yourself. Judge yourself. Feel bad. Feel like a loser. Feel like a failure. Right? Isn't that the way the mind talks to you? Hey, if you don't get what you want, beat yourself up. Now, what kind of a friend is that? And that's the thing that you're talking to. So now, just take a look. See if you've been disapproving of yourself. When you've been thinking about that goal, like, oh, I'm never going to get it. What's the use? Why bother? I'm not good enough. I don't know how. Right? Just see if you've been disapproving of yourself or beating yourself up in any way. And why would you do that? Now, first of all, how does it help you to disapprove of yourself? Is that going to get you your goal by beating yourself up? Of course not. That's ridiculous. And who's doing it? You're doing it. Now, if you're doing it, and it doesn't help you, then guess what? You're still in the driver's seat. Because if you're doing it, all I have to do is just turn that upside down. Right? So just do the opposite. After all, who's it up to? So all you have to do is just make a decision now. If you can see, well, I achieved nothing by beating myself up. And I'm the one who's doing it. So now I'm going to make a smart decision. I'm going to be positive and love myself, or I'm going to be negative and beat myself up. What do I decide? So what do you decide? Now that you're looking at things more clearly. Right? It's ridiculous to beat yourself up. And if you're doing it, well, the smart decision is, I'm going to be loving. So, first, if you've been beating yourself up, been sitting there just dogging on yourself, and you're doing that, well, could you let that go a little bit? That's the first step right now. If you're doing it, like if you're digging yourself into a pit of disapproval, a pit of negativity, well, stop digging, right? Could you let go of disapproving of yourself a little bit? Yes or no? You see, it's up to you. It's your decision. Yes or no? It's not complicated. Just decide. And could you let go of disapproving of yourself a little bit more? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself a little bit more? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And even more. And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more? And even more. All right? And just notice how you feel. Do you feel a little bit lighter? And that's all we're looking for, right? Just notice if you're feeling a little bit lighter. Hey, not so bad. Better than beating yourself up. And it's showing that ultimately this decision is up to you. And if you take charge and you're in control rather than letting your ego be in control and that mind running wild, and don't go blaming your mind. Whose mind is it? Sure, your mind might suggest to you, hey, you're a loser, beat yourself up. But it's you that goes, yo, gosh, you're right, I'm going to do that. Right? So it's not up to your mind, it's up to you. And once you realize that, and you realize how ridiculous it is to beat yourself up, that decision is easy, and it's just a decision. Now, since you probably feel a little bit lighter, let's go a little bit further. Now, if positive doesn't hurt anything, right, then could you give yourself some approval? And this isn't a complicated process. It's very easy. The way I like to put it is, could you just like yourself a little bit? Yes or no? And could you like yourself a little bit more right now? Just because. No reason. It's not like hyping yourself up or telling yourself you're smart, you're witty, you're a good person. No, just could you like yourself? Yes or no? And could you like yourself a little bit more? And could you like yourself even more? And could you like yourself even more? And could you give yourself some more approval? And could you give yourself even more approval? And some more. And even more. And how do you feel now? See if you feel even lighter. Now, when you take a look at that goal of yours or that thing that you would like, just notice if now versus a few moments ago before we let go of figuring it out, let go of disapproving of it, and giving yourself approval, just notice if now you feel a little bit more clear and a little bit more like, yes, I could have it. More like it's possible. Notice the difference? Just see if that goal is just more possible to have. And here's the thing. You might not be able to rationalize it or put it into words or have any picture or reason, but deeper inside, just notice there's a part of you that says, yeah, it is more possible now. And that has no picture, doesn't need to rely on any picture. It's just a knowing. I know, and I know that I know. I don't need to describe it or defend it or explain it. I just know. Notice that? Now, that right there is firsthand proof that not only just by releasing, you get into a quieter place, but when you get quieter, just simply quiet the mind. Not try to add more pictures and noise to it, but just quiet it. Then, in that clarity, There's just that pure, oh yes, I know. And that's it. Now, having said that, and talking about why, it's not necessary to visualize, I do want to point out that visualization, if you want to do it, could be useful in terms of your goals, because if you use it just for the purpose of, right, can I visualize myself, say my goal is to have a car, can I visualize myself in it, right? And if I can't, if I'm really I can't even go there. Or more accurately, if I feel a clutching or resistance to even putting myself there, it stirs up feelings, actually, looking for that picture just did me a favor, because it just brought up a bunch of feelings, a bunch of resistance. And now that I see that, I can let that go. Right? So you could use it to that end. Again, just to simply see if it stirs up anything so you can release it and thereby quieting your mind even more. But that's it. That's all you're looking for, is to quiet your mind, get to the place where it's empty, and then that's where everything becomes clear. Now, if you want to go beyond this experience and get a deeper understanding and develop a real mastery of Lester's work so you can manifest whatever you want with ease, just by the mere thought of it, then join me in the new Conscious Creation Master Course. It's a 6-week live course that's starting soon. But it's going to show you exactly what Lester means when he says that it is simple and it's easy. And if you simply do it, it's easy. If you don't do it, if you find yourself stuck trying to figure it out, wondering what you should do, wondering which way is the right way to release, and on and on and on, then it is difficult, even impossible. But just as impossible as it might seem to do what Lester did, it's just as easy. And if you want to find that out for yourself, then join me in this new 6-week course. I'll put a link to it up above, also in the description below. But it's starting soon, so jump in and see for yourself just how easy it could be.